your name?
My name is Betty Joy. Oh, yeah. Just want to put a stop light. On there too. Maywood.
All right, everyone. How's everybody doing tonight? Okay, we are going to go ahead and call the meeting to order for August 6, 2024 at 7:01. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams?
Here.
Trustee Sanchez?
Here.
Trustee Jones?
Here.
Trustee Lightfoot?
Here.
Trustee Peppers?
Here.
Trustee Brandon?
Here.
Mayor Booker?
Here.
Form president.
All right. Ms. Banks, do we have a pastor? Okay, no worries. I'll read the prayer confession. Okay, so for invocation, this is from the Office of Mayor Nathan George Booker for our 2024 Village of Maywood prayer confession. Father, we thank you for your wisdom, your guidance, and peace for the Village of Maywood. You are the source and the supplier of all of Maywood, and everything is done in faith. Therefore, prosperity and unity shall come to maturity. Yes. Maywood is like a tree firmly planted by the streams of water, never ceasing to yield profit for the kingdom of God. Thank you for revealing to us things that have never been revealed before. Your blessings bring our community protection, and we release your angels all throughout and around 60153. We are thankful for you manifesting the impossible for others to see Christ through your mighty works. We thank you for your favor. Governing bodies and officials are not feeling depleted nor distracted. We decree they breathe you in, Holy Spirit, and your strength comes suddenly with peace and fills all completely. Renews our minds, comes in with conviction, healing, confidence, and instruction. Father, we thank you for the restoration and advancement of the Village of Maywood that has good reputation and is seen well in the minds of all residents, businesses, staff, patrons, advocates, and vendors. Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah.
All right, we're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I need approval of minutes for the committee of the whole special board meeting of the Board of Trustees for July 18th, 2024. Got a motion?
Second.
Motion from Trustee Sanchez, second by Trustee Brandon. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot?
Aye.
Trustee Peppers?
Aye.
Trustee Brandon?
Aye.
Mayor Booker?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, we're going to move on to oaths, proclamations, announcements, and appointments. Before I call up Director of Community Engagement, Ms. Banks, I'm going to say that we have a short video. So the Village of Maywood does a partnership with the National League of Cities where we have partnered on the U.S. Department of Education with a campaign called Engage Every Student, where we focus on the work that we do for our after-school programming and our summer school programming. So I'm going to show the video that we recorded in response to the work that we've been getting done. Try that again.
Every bit of of research we have tells us that high-quality out-of-school time programs have a direct and positive impact on students. It improves student engagement, their academic performance, their safety, and their overall well-being. America's students need these after-school and summer programs more than ever. And now is the time for mayors and city leaders to step up and champion the after-school and summer learning programs for their communities.
The reason that mayors should support after-school programming in their communities is you have the ability to bring people together that no one else can. You are the chief convening officer in the village of Maywood. We've connected so many different organizations that partner together that were working in their own silos. And I think when we break down the silos and we have the genuine conversations, funding can be shared, resources can be shared, and a life can be saved.
After-school programs should be so important to every city. It affects our economy, the safety of our communities, the stability of our families, and ultimately those kids' educational outcomes as well. Salt Lake City looks for opportunities to invest in existing child care organizations and after-school opportunities, summer programming opportunities. Some of those organizations already exist in our community, and in some ways they didn't, and so we created Youth City for our city needs to be more fully met. Youth City is good for families, it's good for our economy, and it's good for the quality of life of young people through their grandparents who are living in their home with them. It impacts our entire community. And I know that where we're going as a community is better, stronger, and it's more creative because we have this high quality after school and summer programming.
If you want your students, your children to be successful as adults, then after school plays a significant part of that. That's how you can get them involved with learning, with seeing what they want to be when they grow up. Simply providing opportunities for them to work or learn about different trades, or if college is not their thing. When I grew up in Harrisonburg, my city council were all men, all white men. When I came back home and I got involved in my community, I wanted little girls, especially little black girls, to be able to see themselves studying and leadership. I think it's important that you show children who they can be. If they can see it, they can believe it. And I know that's cliche, but that's the truth. And in order for you to do that, you have to provide those opportunities. As a woman, I think that's my responsibility. As a mayor, that's my responsibility. As a native, who they can be. If they can see it, they can believe it. And I know that's cliche, but that's the truth. And in order for you to do that, you have to provide those opportunities. As a woman, I think that's my responsibility. As a mayor, that's my responsibility. As a native of Harrisonburg, is to reach back and help those just like someone reached back and helped me.
I encourage every mayor and council member in our country to prioritize and invest in and expand their local after-school and summer programs. The National League of Cities has been a voice for America's communities for 100 years, and the research and resources it produces on after-school programs make it an indispensable partner for any local leader looking to make a change in the lives of their resident youth. We are grateful to NLC for being a committed partner in our Engage Every Student initiative, focused on expanding high-quality out-of-school time for students. With the help of the National League of Cities, city leaders are truly in a position to effect generational change and to ensure that every child in every single one of America's cities, towns, and villages has the opportunity to thrive and to succeed. The Department of Education looks forward to continuing to be your partners in this important work.
So just want to give you guys an update. We opened the 200 building South Fifth Avenue for our after-school programming last January. And on our busiest day, there's over 200 kids in the building running around that are middle school and high school students. This year, when we're wrapping up, kids are going back to school next week, so we're wrapping up our summer programming. So next meeting, we'll actually be submitting and giving some certificates and some of our kids that work this summer with Joseph Business School for their entrepreneurial work and to start their own businesses. They had a whole pitch competition, so we'll be highlighting some of that. But starting in September, when we reopen the building, there'll be even more programming going on because we've heavily involved ourselves in partnering with School District 89 and School District 209. Lots of great things to come, so I just wanted to showcase and highlight that. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Banks.
Good evening, Mayor Booker and Board of Trustees, Maywood residents. Just a few announcements. First, we want to share some condolences for
Excuse us.
Mark. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Board of Trustees. Please join us in sharing our prayers and condolences for the family of Bishop Willie James Chambliss, founder and pastor of Miracle Revival Church of God in Christ here in Maywood. He was also a longtime business owner and resident. Also, our condolences to the family of longtime resident Ted Warlock. We will also tonight like to acknowledge former Mayor Edwina Perkins as she celebrates her birthday. Happy birthday. Just a few announcements. Our back to school bash will be held this Saturday, August 10th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Harrison Field at 13th and Harrison Street. We invite you to bring your children and family out for an afternoon of fun and giveaways. Also, there will be a Train the Trainer workshop with the Cook County Assessor's Office. It is open to all Cook County cities, towns, and villages on Thursday, August 15th from 12 to 2 p.m. at the Maywood Masonic Temple at 200 South 5th Avenue. More information is on our website. There will also be a property tax appeal forum on Tuesday, September 24th with Cook County Board of Review Commissioner Larry Rogers here in the Maywood Chambers at 6 p.m. There will also be a property tax refunds and exemptions town hall for Proviso Township with Cook County Assessor Fritz Kagi, and that's going to be on Tuesday, September the 9th at 7 p.m. here in Village Chambers. We also want you to save the date for our Shred Day that we are doing in conjunction with the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District on Saturday, September 14th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Maywood Library parking lot. You'll be able to bring your documents to shred as well as electronics and things like that on that day. And for any upcoming events, you can log on to our website at maywood-il.gov. We would also like to say that there will be the Old Timers Picnic on Saturday, August the 17th from 1 till 5 p.m. at Veterans Park. We're going to have a series of Let's Talk Maywood community tours, which will be held at 4 of our locations on August the 15th at the Top Lot at 4th and Huron, on Backtrack on August the 13th at Baton Park on 22nd and Lexington at 5 p.m., and then at Standard Park, which is 5th Avenue in Lexington, on August the 27th, and then at Neighborhood Methodist Lot on Thursday, the 29th of August at 5 p.m. Residents will have an opportunity to come out and meet with some of the village departments, like Code, Building and Code, our Community Development Department, our Public Works Department, to get more information about some of the services and resources that's offered here in the village. And so we invite you to come out at 5 o'clock for those events. And also save the date for Maywood Fest, which is September 6th through the 8th at Veterans Park, right behind the police station, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 6th through the 8th of September. Mayor and board, at this time, we would like to do a special recognition. Would Mrs. Cheryl Abel Powell please come forward? Mrs. Cheryl Abel Powell is founder and CEO of Hope Incorporated Midwest, and she celebrates 23 years of prison ministry. God has endowed Ms. Powell with a sincere purpose in reaching out to formerly incarcerated women and their children and families. She humbly accepted her calling and understands the trauma of an incarcerated woman is her life's work to help as many women as she can to embrace the same peace that God has given her and to replace it with hope for the future.
Amen.
She attended Destiny Hope and has a bachelor's degree in divinity. Her church home is Grace Deliverance Outreach Ministry. So Ms. Abel was recognized in May, and she received the Lifetime Achievement Award from President Joe Biden. On behalf of the Village of Maywood, we congratulate Cheryl Abel, founder and CEO of Hope Incorporated Midwest, the recipient of the prestigious President's Lifetime Achievement Award from President Joseph R. Biden Jr. in recognition of your admirable 5,000 hours of volunteer service to our nation. Your leadership, tenacity, and dedication to improve mankind has not gone unnoticed. Thank you for the impactful and exemplary service that you continue to provide to countless women and their families in our community and beyond. Thank you for moving Maywood forward. Presented on this August 6, 2024, Mayor Nathaniel George Booker and the Board of Trustees.
Would you like to have you and all the people who come up to support you come up here, and then we'll take a big group picture, and then after that, we'll get the board to come down and take a picture with you. So,
You want to say a
I'm very humble. First thing, I'm God, who is the head of my life, and is pressing each day for him to be, giving honor to my mother who is in the room, and all of you that have worked with me, to my grandson, the next president of the United States. Assisting there for getting to make sure that this happened, and to all of you. And Mayor, I want to say to you, if I may, and my precious niece sitting there, we love you. I don't want it to go unnoticed that I have been watching you very closely, and I humbly appreciate the things that I see you do with our youth in this community, and everything else that you've done actually speaks for itself. But you have allowed me the opportunity to have hands-on with his summer program, and I've watched his back-to-school program from across the street out of my window, so I know it works, and it's needed in this community. So I want you to know that my eyes have been on you, and I'm so humble and grateful because it works if you work it. And you're giving these children what they need so they can bypass juvenile. They can bypass the county in these county jails. They don't have to go down the line that I went to and ended up in the Illinois Department of Corrections doing a 20-year sentence. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm humble and grateful because look at me now. And I want gradually I'm making my way back because I was called to help. So if you can use me, I will try my best to make myself available to you and your crew. Amen. I appreciate it. I believe she's the matriarch in this room. Let's give my mama a hand. you don't get but one. Always remember your mama. And I love your mama.
So if you all could just come on up right along here.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a couple of different ones. I gotta get the whole, and then I'm gonna get up there.
Oh, Venus! Come, Venus, come. You're not on the clock. Come on.
You don't know how to hide. He's sure she can squeeze right on that.
That'll work.
Everybody ready?
She don't want to come.
All right, on the count of three, I want everybody to give us some big smiles.
Nah, that's just
Count of three. 1, 2, 3, hope. Oh. Maywood. Maywood. Look at me. Look at us. Maywood. Maywood.
Ms. Banks?
You're not at the shop Like if you go to knowledge or do knowledge. I did reach out. Hey, baby, that's right. Yeah. My plan in my head.
All right.
I'm looking forward to April.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
I won't get a chance.
Go ahead.
As you know, for 13 years, I was the chief inspector for the penitentiary system.
No, I'm going.
And I know exactly what she went through that day.
Stop like that.
Because when I went in there, I found out what was going on. I thought at nighttime the men, soldiers, were in charge on the night shift. And the ones on the night shift were just horrible to the man that you can be. What they went through, the woman that the penitentiary system went through, it's horrible. For 13 years I fought it. I believe I am the one that closed down the white penitentiary. I believe I am the one that closed down KKK because I told them. When I spotted, I saw. It took 2 years, almost 3, but they finally closed it down. I did.
For loving on them.
It's always good to celebrate lovely things and beautiful things that are going on in the disability of eternal life. All right, so we're going to jump into our finance management reports. Are there any questions for finance report in the amount of $2,146,667.15 for warrant list 200552 dated July 31st, 2024 in the amount of $3,992.79.83.
I have a question pertaining to the individuals that were hired for, I guess, to work the tutoring program. And Frank, this is really for you. I would like to request, I don't know how we are taking attendance for those individuals who are partaking in the program, but I would like to get a record and the list of the, that there is one that exists. For the attendance law, I did see several payments made to several different individuals, but I have not had or heard of an update from the program. So what I'm requesting this evening is if you can provide me with some sort of an attendance record of who's attending and who's receiving training as it relates to the swimming program.
So I would say, trustee, that's more probably Ms. Banks in the community engagement department. So it's the swimming coach who manages the swimming for us isn't actually with the village of Maywood. She's a swimming coach that actually works with Triton. She works with other swimming pools. So the lifeguards that she works with, they rotate and do different shifts around. And then if you're referring to the schedule of when it was open for like seniors, when it was open for the youth, when it was open for teenagers. I'm sure Ms. Banks and Terry would be more the people to get you that information. They could definitely get you that information.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I'm working through the proper channels, and that's why I mentioned it to Frank, so I can make sure that I receive it.
I would say anytime you have a question, Ms. Banks is right there, readily available by phone, text, or email. All right. Moving on to Village President's Report. Does anybody have any questions in regards to just approving the liquor license for Maywood Fest? All right, we'll move on to public comment.
First public comment is for Stephanie Maxwell.
It's okay if I sit?
Sure.
Just real short. First, thank you, Mayor and trustees. Appreciate you. As we all know, as the whole world is in a crisis, okay? Which the state of Illinois, a lot of people lost their jobs, not enough manpower, groceries, prices are up, gas, light, cost of living. But here in the village of Maywood, we are small, but we're mighty. How do we get our respect back as a village? Because I find out that a lot of people just totally disrespect us. The first thing I would like to know is, I've noticed a lot of changes. The first change is the board there, it says Maywood, Village of Eternal Light. Can we put the back in Eternal Light? I know it took a while back to take it out. It's just, it's not on there, and it should be. The second thing is 10th Park. Private investors, is that part of Maywood? How did it become private investors for the 10th Park on 10th in Washington? The Tree of Life. We are the Tree of Life, earth and heaven. What happened to our Tree of Life? Also, there's diversity in the village of Maywood. We have Africans, white, Native Asians, Pacific Islanders. We also have people from Bulgaria, Albanese, and Russians as well. I do appreciate and like everything as far as the infrastructure that has been taking place in Maywood. A lot of people don't understand the importance of the infrastructure. Our roads, power lines to schools, transportation. A lot of people really need to just look around the village and come to the meetings and let you know what's going on. The most important thing is Homeland Security. I understand that the police force here, a lot of people may not realize everything that they do, and I appreciate every one of you. You are a strong force, police force. You handle the police and fire department area, pre-planned events. You also village patrol the whole village. You do traffic and crowds like the event that's happening in the back. We must know what we have in order to know how to deal with. So we need to know what's in our community. And I honestly feel that if Carmela doesn't win, everything that we're talking about today, nothing will matter. So vote, register and vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Amen.
Faye Gordon.
Do any of you guys recognize me? Any of you? Have any of you guys received any emails from me? Faye Gordon, Fresh Start Individual. Have you guys received any phone messages from me? Okay, so the system is working. Ms. Banks, do you recall any messages from me?
Yes, sir.
Any business from me?
Yes, I do.
Trying to schedule any meetings with the mayor?
Yes, I do.
Over a year.
That's been over a year, but
It's been since November of last year.
speak up.
I have been trying diligently to bring programs, services, into the community. I've written proposals. I've talked to you. You sent me to the park district. The thing I told God I promised them sweet lips today, sweet lips. So I'm not here to make anybody hate me, but this is messy. I would like for you all to explain this. Why we doing this? And why is the rec gonna close? Or why you guys trying to put a referendum for the rec to close? The Park District rec, the old building, that's like a historical building in Maywood, is closed right now. I guarantee you, if OSHA or somebody was to go into the village building, it would be closed too. So let's play fair, let's work together. Right now, Fresh Start is in Westchester. I've been trying to bring it back in Maywood since October of last year, with no success, no meetings, no trying to get, and we have our own funding. So funding that you all are spending on programs and recreation, operations like mine can spend our money, and then you guys can spend your money on fixing other things. That's all I wanted to say for today, but I'll be around much, much more.
All right. Give a hand on that. Betty Jordan. Betty Jordan. Okay. A little baby. Okay. Perkins.
Good evening. My name is Edwina Perkins. I want to correct Mayor Booker. He said to me, I informed him that the village of Maywood closed the park district. He made the comments that the Cook County closed the park district. But I want to inform Mayor Booker that the village of Maywood, and I have the FOIA, that the village of Maywood closed the park district. I have the FOIA. And then I want to mention that under my law, $3.5 million was left for the village of Maywood. And I will be getting in touch with Washington, D.C. to find out why the citizens of Maywood and the people in Maywood have not been able to get part of the $3.5 million that was left. And they have 20 to 26 to get that money. But I will be getting in touch with Washington, D.C. to find out why the citizens and the businesses in the village of Maywood have not been able to get part of that money. Thank you.
Okay, that completes public comment.
All right. So I'll say, Ms. Maxwell, thank you for your comments. Well, it's funny today, so we were just in a meeting talking about the Fifth Avenue land streetscaping, and it kept saying Maywood, Village of Eternal Light. And I said, well, how do you know if it was Maywood or if you think it's the Village of Eternal Light? So it should say Village of Maywood, the Village of Eternal Light. So yes, we'll be working on that. I'm not quite sure when this one was made, but definitely that was literally a conversation in the meeting today. So we'll work on that. The 10th Park renovations, so that conversation right now is with the legal team of a private person. So the conversation is, we put together what the park could actually look like. We put together what the budget of the park renovation would actually look like. And they are going through their legal team to see if it's something that they would actually fund and pay for on behalf of the Village of Maywood. So the Village of Maywood still owns the park. It's just that there's a private interest of putting money into getting the park redeveloped and enhancing the park. So we should have some updates for that for you soon. I'm gonna give it to you later because I'm not sure what the Tree of Life means. When you said we have the Tree of Life. You spoke about the different ethnicities. So you'll see in the newsletter that comes out on Thursday that Congressman Davis has what's called a multi-ethnic coalition, and they put on an event annually. And this year at that event, I received a Rising Star Award, and it was just amazing to see how many different ethnicities actually were all coming together. So we are actually starting a Maywood multi-ethnic coalition advisory committee that actually is in the newsletter for people to be able to sign up to represent and reflect all of the different multi-ethnicities that are within the Village of Maywood. And then we also right now I was in California for the AI Advisory Committee with Google with the National League of Cities. And there's some software that will help us translate into about 19 different languages our various different flyers, our promotions, and in our website we made sure it has 17 different languages that it can be translated into. So I do agree with that. And then I'm sure Homeland Security loved all of their positive comments. So thank you for those. Ms. Faye Gordon, I would say, point of clarity, the Village of Maywood is not trying to close the rec. And I guess this I can answer both at the same time. So, Ms. Perkins, you are the former mayor, so you know the process, right? Cook County came to the rec. Cook County did the inspection of the rec. Cook County showcased that the roof was unstable, that there was rusted lighting that was a hazard to the facility, that there were multiple parts of the building that don't even have electricity because of the water leaks that come from the roof. They highlighted the brick that's pulling away from the building. It does not make sense and it's not safe to have our youth in there for summer camp. It was not safe to have our seniors in there on a daily to enjoy activities when we get a report that's a 40-page report that highlights every violation that needs to be taken care of in that building. So once we get that information from the county, yes, as any municipal body, you would have to be the person that closed the building as a municipality once you get the information from the county, and you're aware of that. So when I said the village didn't close it down, I was referring to the fact that there was an inspection done by Cook County that led to their closure, which even right now, if you look at last week, they had an emergency meeting to approve $27,000 of electrical work that needs to get done because a lot of their building doesn't even have electricity. So they are fixing their violations that came from a Cook County inspection. I just want to be clear on that. The Village of Maywood is not trying to close the rec, not trying to take any services away from the residents, but we are trying to make sure that our residents are safe. And that building and the things that need to get fixed in that building are not safe at this moment in time. So we have to hold them accountable. Same as if we were in this building and you were sitting in here and it was leaking from the roof, we would have to be held accountable, right? So they have to be held accountable, and that is all that is. Mayor Perkins, can you get with Ms. Banks? I don't know what this $3.5 million is that you're referring to.
Assuming it's ARPA, so 3.2 maybe.
Oh, so you knew this conversation was coming. Okay.
No, I'm just
so
trying to
I got
know
it.
because you said it needs to be spent by 2026.
So I'll say if the conversation, you're assuming, right?
I don't know.
Trustee, please. I literally was just trying to say, can you get with Ms. Banks to talk about if it's ARPA, if it's some other grant that we may have gotten already. I don't know, nor do you. So my conversation was just, can you please get with Ms. Banks? If it is about ARPA, she most certainly can go over with you the different programs and the different funds that have been expensed through ARPA. If it's some other $3.5 million, please speak with Ms. Banks. And if there's money that we have, I'm always open and loving to find the money. So Ms. Banks can help you go over if there's money that we've received that you're just not aware of what's been done with it.
And then if there's money that we somehow are missing, Ms. Banks can help find that too. And that wraps, Ms. Gordon. I know you talked to Ms. Banks. I did get your email and forwarded it to Ms. Banks asking what is the update with this. No, you and I have never sat down to talk about the programming because so Ms. Banks is the Director of Community Engagement, not me, but I most certainly would love to have a meeting with you to talk about your program. I'm sorry that you haven't had a meeting with me, but we'll make sure we get that scheduled. Yeah, and then I talked about the work already. Okay?
Yeah.
So, Trustee Brandon.
Yeah, so I just wanted to just help provide clarity because I am aware of what Mayor Perkins was referring to. It was the opera fund that we discussed at the last meeting and how the funds were being spent and what the funds were being spent on and the current balance with the funds. And so, you know, I know she reached out to me in regards to the current status of it. I have reached out to the village to provide a breakdown of it, and I do concur. Our business community was hit hard as it relates to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we most certainly should be providing some sort of support for our business community. I haven't, I was concerned about the statement that I did here at the last meeting in regards to us not providing or not going to provide the business community with any relief. We have been spending a lot of COVID-19 dollars, and it hasn't reached the people yet. And I've also asked for, through the manager, to provide me with a list of individuals who have applied for this home improvement program, which this board has not received a flyer for, or when it was open, neither when the program was closed. And I've requested for the village manager to reopen the program so that we could properly advertise the program to the Maywood residents. I'm not even sure if it was in Spanish, how the information get out to the individuals that speak Spanish, but most certainly there is some need to be concerned about how we communicated this message about a program that was created in the Finance Committee, with Trustee Jones as the chair and myself as the co-chair. These are programs that we most certainly advocated for through that process. And for me, I just want to make sure that the dollars reach the people when we do it in a fair and balanced way. And so I've communicated those concerns to the village managers that the program, first of all, needs to be opened back up. I was told that 50 people applied and the program was shut up. Not the right way to do things, and this board should have most certainly been informed that this program was open. There should have been a flyer created and given to the board so that we know what the parameters are. And so, again, I've encouraged the manager and his team to open that process back up to the residents of the village of Maywood. And then I encourage this board and my board colleagues as well as it relates to making sure that those businesses were impacted by COVID-19. And I heard mentioned at our last meeting that there were dollars that were going to, or there were grants out there that the businesses could be directed to. The purposes of those funds was to help not only the residents, but also the business community recover from a pandemic. It is important that we make very clear as individuals and as a collective that we understand the impact that the pandemic had on the business community as well as our residents, and not only know that, but also put the dollars behind programs to make sure that we're helping our residents and businesses to recover from the pandemic. And so, again, my stance is very clear in regards to the program, the home improvement program. We need to open it back up to make sure the residents are aware of it, because the board wasn't even aware that it was even open. And we need to make sure the dollars also reach our business community as well. So I was well aware of what Mayor Perkins was referring to. She did reach out to me in regards to the current status of the funds, and I have requested from the village manager that we probably should post something online for the residents to be able to track where the dollars are going, what is being spent on, and order to keep everybody in the loop on how we're spending the COVID-19, the opera funds. And so, again, to the village manager, we need to open that home improvement program back up for the residents, make sure that it's in Spanish for a Spanish community or Hispanic community as well, and ensure that for this board, because it's what our responsibilities is to ensure that the dollars reach those who are in need of it, and make sure we're doing something for the business community. There are a lot of other initiatives, a lot of other grants, but those dollars specifically were supposed to be utilized for those different populations, and so that is my stance on it.
Okay, so I guess I'll give some thought process to that. One, I would say the homeowner improvement program, the village of Maywood allocated $100,000 of the ARPA funds for the round to do the homeowner improvement program. There were 59 applicants because there was a flyer created for it. The flyer was mailed out or in the monthly newsletter that goes out, and it was posted on the website as its own separate page that showcases and highlights low-income residents, seniors only, and then a 50-50 match on residents who are not low income. So it was $5,000 for low-income homes, it was $5,000 for seniors, and it was an additional $5,000 match for those who are not low income. Ms. Banks is working with the Community Development Department and working with Building and Code to ensure that those homes, because we approved the process, the board approved it, so to say we weren't aware of the process, the board actually had to approve what we were processing and authorizing for the program to be. So all three programs, the residents go through a homeowner inspection. Once they go through the inspection, any violations, they will be notified by the code department, and then they will be able to pick whomever's going to do the work, because we don't recommend anyone to do the work. We just have our registered businesses that can do the work in the village of Maywood. If they have someone who's going to do the work that's not registered, then community development would help them get registered as a business to do the work in the village of Maywood. So to say that we're going to reopen it, to think this year we're doing $100,000 of it, that we all agreed to putting the $100,000 in the budget for it, that's only 20 houses. So 59 applicants applied. 20 times 5 equals 100,000. Maybe every household might not need the entire 5,000, but we have 3 times the amount of applicants to serve the amount of funds that we've expended for it. When we talk about business grant funding, we have partnered with the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. We've partnered with the Department for Minority and Economic Advancement. We've partnered with Women Development for Business Council. We've partnered with Bank of America. We've partnered with Wintrust. We've partnered with Liberty Bank. All of these entities have grant funding for businesses. We also partnered with the Merrills Park Chamber of Commerce because they have the State of Illinois Business Department for Economic Development based right on 25th Avenue, that they have navigators that can assist businesses who need help, whether you're a startup business or you're a business that's been around for quite some time. We can most certainly look at other programs or giving more money in, but realistically, the goal is always where we know the resources are, to make sure residents and businesses are aware where the resources are that they can get readily available. So I understand what the trustee is saying, but I just want to be clear and share that. What we can do at the next board meeting, it is an effortless thing to showcase and highlight where the money has gone for ARPA. So we'll do that at the next board meeting, where we'll do a presentation. You'll be able to download it and see it. If you're not at the meeting, you'll be able to view it. We'll do a whole PowerPoint of everything that we spent ARPA funds on. So that will clear that up, if that's $3.1 million that we're discussing. With that being said, I'm gonna move on to village manager's report. Under the village manager's report, are there any questions?
Mayor.
Trustee Jones.
This is directed to Frank, so I did get your note. I had a few questions, and thank you for your response. I did want to get clarity on the alleys part. And I CC'd the mayor, so the mayor made an announcement. Every rock alley in the village is going to get paid by the end of the year. I know we put some resources, ARPA resources for this. I think you responded to the degree that these are going to be asphalt alleys. My question is, can you kind of quantify the scope of work, what that looks like? Because I was under the impression, let's say a green alley, for instance, is hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm just doing the math here. We didn't have enough money in ARPA to do all of them. So it's not green alleys, it's not like we're doing some sort of resurfacing. I did notice we did the prairie pad with asphalt. So is that essentially, I want to make sure I paint a clear picture for the residents what they should expect by that. So should they expect their alleys for the residents that have rock alleys? What should they expect the timeline, and then what is that budget? I think we put, I thought it was $1 million in there for like alleys, streets, etc. Can you break down what the budget is approximately? I guess I just want to make sure the numbers sound right.
Sure. Manager Torres.
Sure. Last board meeting, the board voted. There was on this agenda, the board voted on $850,000 to repave, I believe it's 63 alleys in Blacktop.
Okay, so it is going to be blacktop. So it's going to look similar to what the prairie pad.
Correct.
Okay, so I don't personally have an alley behind my house. I don't know from an engineering perspective what that looks like. So I think anyone would appreciate their alley being resurfaced. My question would be, long term, is this a quick fix type thing? Are we just doing it? And is it going to be, because usually when you do an alley, like you're ripping it up and any other sewage, any of those considerations are being paid or being considered. Is what we're doing considered like a long-term fix, or is this just to kind of put and I'm looking for Frank to answer this, if he doesn't mind, I want to get his thoughts. If this is like a long-term fix, or is this just a short-term fix until we can do kind of longer-term, or is this considered long-term? I guess we need to make sure I understand our strategy.
So, I can appreciate you wanting the village manager to answer, trustee. But realistically, when we have the conversation about the alleys, we've been talking about alleys. Well, the village of Maywood has been talking about the rec alleys for decades, right? Yeah. So we already know from assessments that Hancock has given us, each alley to do the drainage and the cement is $250,000 per alley. So when we're thinking about $250,000 per alley, that comes with a price tag of over $25 million to get every alley done in the village of Maywood. What GA Paving has been able to do with the asphalt is eliminating the fact of the first thing that our building and code department Public Works department tried to do was we purchased the grading machine. So in the grading machine, they would go through the alleys and go through the rocks in hopes that it would flatten out. But after 3 or 4 rains, the same potholes were right back where they were before. So that was what the problem is. When you think about from the village of Maywood, the goal right now was to handle alleys, because everyone consistently talks about the alleys. So while we are still putting together funding requests for the infrastructure bill, and while we're still putting together funding requests, the first thing that we had to do on a federal level was have conversations with Congressman Davis, because alleys were not a part of the infrastructure bill. So you can get streets done, you can get water sewer separation done, but the actual ability to use infrastructure funds for alleys, we couldn't do that. So now we're looking at being able to do that. We can request actual funds that then would provide the $250,000 alley. So realistically, an $850,000 expense for 63 rock alleys is to stop the bleeding. It's to understand that we've been putting our staff resources into grading these alleys 3 or 4 times throughout the summer. What they're doing right now in the installation is the alleys are pitched so that the water flows over to the side. There is green space left for the water to go in, and it's also a cap cover that will make the water flow down to where the 2 alleyways end. So you'll see right now, they've paved some of the alleys. Tomorrow starts the greenscaping of the space where the water will be able to flow into. When you do the cement alleys, you'll see everything gets cemented. The green space throughout the alleys that are gonna go through a landscaping project is where the water will flow to. We are still working on projects with the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District to get them to pay for some of the alleys that are $250,000 to $300,000, and we are still applying to get these alleys. So long-term, the goal is to put sewage, water sewage separation in all of the alleys and make sure that the alleys are getting done. But we literally have been talking about these alleys that got paid, that are getting paid today through August 20th or August 25th for 3 decades. So it is a fix that will work now, that we will consistently work towards bettering in the future.
Frank, did you know what the mayor, did you know that prior to just mentioning that?
I did meet with the paving company. I went out there with the engineer. I want to say that I've gotten calls. I know that Director Buchanan has gotten calls nonstop about alleys. I was out there with Mr. Buchanan grading alleys and residents coming out for that. And this is a good solution, a fair solution, so everybody in Maywood could have a paved alley. We are going to continue. I did have work with the engineer. We are going to continue to get funding for the green alleys because that's part of the initiative this board wants, is to have Maywood better, greener area. But this is a solution for everybody to have improvements on their property.
Okay, and I do appreciate you clarifying that. I just think it's important to know that for the residents, as it was explained, this is an exercise to get this like the alleys, to get them smooth out or resurface, but it's a temporary fix. This is not a long-term fix for some of these alleys. Some of these alleys actually do need to be completely redone. Am I kind of understanding that right? So this is to address the concern of people, because it's so capital intensive. This is going to be essentially a temporary fix, but there's still going to be alleys, that after we do this in X amount of time that will be revisited and essentially.
Sure, trustee, but a temporary fix is like years, not, months, not, this is a temporary fix for years plus, and depending on short alleys, long alleys, there might be a permanent fix for some. So I don't want to use the word temporary as a short term, but temporary as years. But everybody, I think, in Maywood deserves to have a paved alley, and I think that using the money this way will satisfy the need of the residents.
Trustee Brandon and Trustee Peppers.
Yeah. I think that for me, in regards to this, Frank, the first thing is, I would have thought that this would have came through the infrastructure committee, because what it allows you to do, now like hearing these things and listening to the conversation, it most certainly should have came through the infrastructure committee, so we can talk about, okay, so what type of material has been utilized, what exactly are we talking about? Of course, we've been talking about alleys for a long time in the village of Maywood, and we want to do things quick, but we also want to do things the right way as well. And so, for me, if I would have had this additional context, because I'm thinking of the same mindset that these alleys are going to be, we're going to be utilizing the material that we have seen, and it's a full, brand new alley. And so, really, what we're saying, it most certainly is us just putting the Band-Aid over the alleys. If you say years, well, I don't know what those years look like. It's 2 years, 3 years. And so when we talked about making an investment in the tune of, $1 million, I know the whole idea is to get it done quick, get it done, but we also want to get it done the correct way. And these type of conversations are very, very much important. To first of all, start at a committee level, so these things can get flushed out, right? And so we have the engineer who's able to break these things down as far as the material and how long it's going to last. It's very, very much important that these type of things go through the proper vetting process, because from what I receive, from what I'm hearing is this whole idea is, yeah, we just found a way to get it done. We don't know how long it's gonna last, but we may have to go back and redo these alleys and spend more money on doing the alleys the correct way or doing it how it should be done. And so, that most certainly is what I heard. And so it's important, and I would like to have Hancock Engineering to better explain exactly what type of material we're working with, how long it's going to last, and to have those type of conversations, just so that we are all on the same page as it relates to what we're investing, these dollars in, and it's going to really have a long-term impact, not just a few years, and just really paint a clear picture of what that's going to look like. Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, they found a way to do $18 million worth of alleys for $1 million. And I did not know what the details of what that was going to look like, what type of material was going to use. And again, I was just stressed. That's why it's important, for us to lead collectively and not individually, so that we can all be on the same page as it relates to these things. And this has not come through, the infrastructure committee, because I get a feeling that we just want to get things done quickly and not, have things to be vetted, which is most certainly important for the village of Maywood and its residents to have things to go through those challenges.
So, trustee, I just want a few different pieces of clarification. It would have been 25 million, not 18 million. It was on the board packet as a committee of the whole conversation. There were no questions. It was on the omnibus agenda for a vote. Everyone who was present voted in favor of this. The explanation of what type of material it would be, how it would get done, the actual specific alleys, and an entire map of everywhere that would get done was in the board packet when you voted for this. So, I hear you. The other thing I would say is GA Paving, because we voted on their contract, which you voted for as well, has been in business as a second-generation family-owned business right in the village of Maywood. If you would like to go see some of their alleys that are asphalt, that are 10, 15, 20 years old, most certainly we can get you in touch with the director, Buchanan, and he can have George show you alleys that they've done in Melrose Park, Bellwood, Broadview, Hillside. So I would say it's not as if we've gone and created or found some special material. It's material for alleys that have been used by GA Paving for over 30 years. So definitely, if you have any further questions, I think these are the moments when I say we're talking about something that's already been voted on, that's already started. Director Buchanan is available for conversation at any given time. Manager Torres is available for conversation at any given time. Use them as your resources to have conversations. It was trustee Harris.
Yeah, I just want to say a couple things. It's sad that as a Maywood resident myself, was a homeowner since 1997, that I've had rock alleys, and I get it that over the years, decades, falling of the 50-50 programs throughout the village, different people in charge, different people signing, and things disappearing. I can go on and on a laundry list of that. I think the whole process itself is it's not good for our residents. And what I mean by that, I'm just talking about me as a resident, not me as a trustee. So we're sitting here, and we're going to do an asphalt alley, and you look adjacent to your north, you look adjacent to the west. They have alleys with sewers, things that don't have to necessarily pitch the way the asphalt alleys have to pitch. And then we say this is for years, as the manager said, it's a year's fix. We don't know how many years. We don't know how this asphalt's gonna work. We know how the concrete works. And we understand that the money wasn't allocated and it wasn't, there in reference to grants with streets. But I just really feel as a resident that I pay the same 2 PIN numbers that somebody else sitting on the lot and a half has to pay. And then they have an alley that they can depend on. And I'm not going to downgrade it. These gentlemen done work for 30 years. But it's not the same quality. I'll just say that. It's just not fair. It's not fair. There's no incentives involved. We're not offering tax breaks. We're not offering this and that. And we're saying, hey, you're getting better with your ass, and be quiet. I don't think professionally that's acceptable. And I don't think it's right as a board member or a member of Village of Maywood as a resident. It's just, I get it, you can say a certain thing, you can show me these statistics, you can do this and that. But I just feel that we all deserve the same thing. That's all.
So, Trustee, I would say thank you for that commentary. As a resident, as the mayor, I think it's sad that we're in 2024 still talking about rock alleys that they've been talking about since the 90s and 80s, right? So I think we can all agree on that. What I also think is problematic is, if I'm understanding, each alley is $250,000. We're spending $850,000 for 63 alleys. So if we would have done the cement alleys, did everything, we would have, in the conversation that's being given right now, would it have made more sense to do 3 alleys this summer or 63 alleys this summer? I think the reality that we have to look at is the alleys are so bad that residents come on a regular to showcase their potholes, to talk about their potholes, to talk about their tires that just got busted. The fix of paving all 63 alleys to eliminate the ability to say my car's getting torn up by the alleys, please do something, is more than the 3 alleys that would have gotten done had we just done cement. So as I said before, and as Manager Torres has said, we will continue to work on funding, even with us doing the water sewer separation projects. As we're knowing that our streets need to get done, when our streets get done, we will have to take up, in some streets, over 100-year-olds of piping. So at that same time, some of the alleys will be able to be allocated at that time, because again, as I said before, when the infrastructure bill was first written, alleys were not a part of it. So we can now focus on that when we're doing water sewer separation and street replacement. I understand that everyone would love to have a cement alley, but I can assure you, and I can't talk about how many residents have already called, messaged, and posted how thankful they are that they no longer just have a rock alley. And I think what we have to understand is, it's $25 million this year to do every alley as a cement alley. Inflation raises that cost by 15 to 20% every year. So every year we're playing catch up to 4 decades of negligence of stuff that wasn't done. So this is a fix that will stop tearing people's cars apart, that will allow some people to park in their garage that don't even want to park in their garage because their alley is so bad. We'll continue to work on moving the Village of Maywood forward through infrastructure developments and growth. We've done over $30 million worth of projects. We have grant funding of another $18 million already awarded to us. But again, we still have over $300 million worth of issues that we're trying to address. So hopefully that helps. Moving on to village attorney's report. Does anybody have a question for anything on the village attorney's report?
I have a question for the village attorney.
Trustee Brandon.
I did ask at the, Mike, I don't know if you got the notice, but about the status of the property on Roosevelt Road.
Yeah, email, confidential memo was emailed on Friday to everybody on that status.
The corner property? I did see that email.
Yeah, because it's pending litigation, there's a confidential memo was emailed to everybody up front.
Okay, that
I
was
can
what
talk
it-
to you offline.
Okay, yeah, if you can, that's fine. Yeah, because I would update.
All right, no trustee reports, so I need a motion to approve the omnibus agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by trustee Sanchez, second by trustee Lightfoot. Please read items 14A through 14U.
Letter A, motion to approve the monthly financial report in the amount of $2,146,667.17. Letter B, motion to approve the warrant list number 200552 dated July 31st, 2024.
16
I didn't say 16 cents?
17.
Oh.
I did already.
Paying that extra penny. Okay. Letter A, motion to approve the monthly financial report in the amount of $2,146,667.16. Letter B, motion to approve the warrant list 200552 dated July 31st, 2024 in the amount of $3,992,79.83. Letter C, motion to authorize and approve the execution of a quote dated March 15th, 2024, and issued by Science Solutions LLC of Aurora, Illinois, in the amount of $9,600 for the purchase of an L6Q annual support and maintenance agreement for the support of 15 license plate readers operated by the Maywood Police Department. The term is 1 year, and the performance of an initial assessment and evaluation of 15 license plate readers and locations will be good with. Letter D, motion to waive competitive bidding and authorize and approve the execution of a quotation dated July 25th, 2024, and issued by Traffic Logics Corporation of Spring Valley, New York, for the purchase of 6 radar speed cameras for use by the Maywood Police Department in the amount of $15,578. And a proposal dated July 5th, 2024, issued by Synco Melrose Park, Illinois, for the installation of the radar guns in 6 squad cars in the amount of $3,300 for a total purchase price of $18,878, and the approval of the expenditure of ARPA funds to purchase the equipment. Letter E, motion to waive competitive bidding and authorize and approve the execution of a proposal date July 23rd, 2024, and issued by Wireless CCTV LLC of Richardson, Texas, in the amount of $12,400 for the short-term rental of 2 mobile wireless CCTV surveillance video camera trailers, OWL night vision security camera trailers, for use by the Maywood Police Department from September 1st, 2024, August 31st, 2024, during the 2024 Maywood Fest, and then to be placed within the village of strategic locations to enhance security and surveillance. Letter F, motion to waive competitive bidding and authorize and approve the execution of an invoice dated July 19, 2024, and issued by Geno's Heating and Plumbing, Inc. of Broadview, Illinois, in an amount of $10,177.50 for emergency water main repair within the 7th Avenue right-of-way adjacent to 719 North 7th Avenue property. How does this work?
Continue to read.
Okay. Letter G, motion to waive competitive bidding. I just did that, didn't I? I did F or G?
You did F, you did read G.
G, motion to waive competitive bidding and authorize and approve the execution of an invoice dated July 23rd, 2024, and issued by Geno's Heating and Plumbing, Inc. of Broadview, Illinois, in the amount of $15,694.13 for emergency water main repair work within the Madison Street and 17th Avenue right-of-way. Letter H, ordinance authorizing the disposal of surplus property in the possession of the Maywood Police Department using as personal items with inventory list of surplus property attached to Exhibit A.
Letter I, ordinance authorizing the creation and issuance of a Class E liquor license, temporary license to sell or transfer liquor on municipal-owned property, 2024, Maywood Fest, September 6th through the 8th. Letter J, ordinance amending section 31.21, Board of Fire and Police Commissioners of Title III, Administration of the Maywood Village Code relative to the composition and compensation of the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners. Letter K, ordinance authorizing the approval of an application for a village TIF matching business improvement program grant filed by Exclusive Bar and Grill LLC, doing business as Exclusive Bar and Grill for building rehabilitation and parking lot improvements at 406 to 408 South Fifth Avenue. Property located within the Madison Street, Fifth Avenue Tax Increment Financing District, and for the appropriation and expenditure of Madison Street, Fifth Avenue Tax Increment Financing District funds in the amount equal to $25,000 for TIF eligible redevelopment costs related to the grant application. Applicant, Exclusive Bar and Grill, LLC. DBA, Exclusive Bar and Grill, Darian Wilbert, with a copy of the application attached to the ordinance as exhibited. Letter L, ordinance approving a special use permit for special event space in the C4 Town Center Commercial Zoning District at 50 Madison Street, Maywood, Illinois, AB Chicago, Inc., 50 Madison, LLC. Letter M, ordinance authorizing the approval and execution of a low bid response and a construction agreement with M&J Asphalt Paving Company for completion of the 2024 asphalt pavement patching program and the appropriation and expenditure of Madison Street, Fifth Avenue TIF District funds and Village General Corporate funds to pay for the Ward Street, Fifth Avenue TIF District funds and Village General Corporate funds to pay for the work project cost $85,502. Project description is asphalt street pavement patching work throughout the village, with a copy of the agreement attached to the ordinance as part of Group Exhibit A. Letter N, resolution approving the content of and/or release of certain closed meeting minutes of the combined meetings of the Committee of the Whole as the President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Maywood 2024 half-year review. Letter O, resolution authorizing the approval and execution of an addendum to a subrecipient agreement for American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds Assistance Listing Number 21.027 to be entered in between the County of Cook and the Village of Maywood to allocate to the Village of Maywood an additional $200,000 of ARPA funds for the construction of the South Maywood Drive Improvements Project. The West Village limits to 19th Avenue, and for the appropriation and expenditure of such funds to pay for the construction of the project. Letter P, resolution approving the settlement agreement and general release and authorizing the payment of settlement funds in potential lawsuit of Marcus Robinson versus the Village of Maywood, ETAL Village share of settlement amount is $12,500. Letter Q, resolution authorizing and approving the execution of low bid response and agreement between the Village of Maywood and Denver Inc. in the amount of $28,688 to complete the 2024 crack filling program and authorizing the expenditure of the Village General Corporate funds to pay for the work. Letter R, ordinance authorizing the approval and execution of a low bid response and agreement with Pipe View America for sewer cleaning and televising services relative to the 2024 sewer cleaning and televising project and the appropriation and expenditure of Madison Street, Fifth Avenue TIF District funds and Village General Corporate funds to pay for the project. Project cost is $78,935.94. Project description, cleaning and televising of combined sewers. Letter S, ordinance authorizing the approval and execution of low bid response and agreement with Traffic Control Company for the performance of the 2024 pavement striping program and the appropriation and expenditure of Madison Street, Fifth Avenue TIF District funds and Village General Corporate funds to pay for the project work. The program costs $23,625. Letter T, motion to waive competitive bidding and authorize and approve the execution of an estimate dated July 3rd, 2024, and issued by Dunlap Paving Steel, holding a venue Illinois for the installation of custom rubberized speed controls in the amount of $10,000 and authorize the expenditure of ARPA funds to pay for the work. Letter U, motion to waive the competitive bidding process and approve a proposal dated July 20, 2023 and issued by the Sports Facilities Companies of Clearwater, Florida in the amount of $35,000 for the performance of a comprehensive assessment of the village's sports facilities complex and authorize the expenditure of ARPA funds to pay for the proposal.
Attorney Jerusalem.
Trustee Brandon has asked Attorney Jerusalem for a question, so Attorney Jerusalem.
Yes.
Before I vote on this omnibus agenda, I wanted to actually pull letter U because I had some concerns about letter U. So what's the, for me not to vote no on the entire omnibus agenda, what's the proper way to pull letter U?
In a perfect world, you pull it before we get to the motion.
Understood.
We're on the back end of that, the only way to amend this motion, to pull something is to do an amendatory motion. That can be done, that would supersede this motion. You need a second, and it'd have to pass by majority vote. And you could amend this motion to remove you, then that issue could be taken as a side motion. The amended omnibus wouldn't have to be reread. We would just vote that up if everybody's in agreement to remove you for a separate vote.
Yeah, so at this time, I would like to make a motion to amend the omnibus agenda that was recently read to exclude item U, just because I had some concerns about letter U.
There's a motion by Trustee Brandon, there's a second by Trustee Jones.
Well, Mayor,
Yes, Trustee.
I mean, can he state his concerns and
I mean, if he has a question, the question could be, is there a question? Because the question could be asked without having to change or anything. So is there a question?
Yeah, well, I would just like to approve those items and just to be able to have a discussion on item U.
Well, I guess, so we don't need to amend if there's a question that can be answered, then we can just vote on the actual budget. So
Is that, I don't know if that's proper, is that, should we, I think we should, is that proper, Attorney Rizzi, or should we have to remove it and then have a
No,
discussion?
you can have a discussion. The board agrees to have a discussion on this pending motion, have the discussion, but realize on the omnibus, everybody's got to vote yes. So you got to get to that point.
Okay. So yeah, I would like to have some discussion on item number U.
Are you going to withdraw your motion in the second?
Just
Yeah,
for discussion.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, I just had some discussion. I did see the attachments in the agenda, and read them as well. And so the $35,000, us waiving the bid for $35,000 to have this assessment done. I guess what my question is the board having conversation on this. I don't know if we had a collective conversation on the village of Maywood having an assessment done to do like an indoor pool situation collectively. And so I also, anything pertaining to infrastructure, we just had this conversation earlier, these things are not being sent to any committees to like NET or that, or to even have any conversations on, is my other issue with it. And then, I guess my final piece is, we've heard as a board about this municipal complex situation, right? And so, how does this connect with the municipal complex, ordeal, and why are we piecing it like we are piecing it here, and having an assessment done for a complex or an indoor pool situation without there being any real conversation from this board level and us having a collective conversation together on what direction we want to go into? Because I don't recall any conversations that we've had in regards to us collectively as a board saying to staff or to Frank that we want to have an assessment done on building a complex or an indoor pool complex. And so What I am saying is this, I don't know how we got here. I did read the letter, and they were speaking with the mayor about this, but certainly we should have had some additional conversation from the dais about this whole project, because I have a lot of questions, like how does it tie into the municipal complex situation? While we waited a bid for this whole ordeal, that it's costing us $35,000 to have this assessment done, and that Frank told me that it was something through the National League of Cities, but all of these, just question marks that I have, and that's why it's important, again, if I can emphasize that we work things through, these committees that was put in place, that I don't think is being properly utilized or properly working, and how they should work. So, again, those are my concerns with this particular item. I did see the attachment, but we haven't had any conversation from the board, DIAS, about giving direction to staff or anybody to solicit a company to do an assessment on building the building. All we heard about is about the pool situation was going to come, and it was kind of like embedded with this municipal complex ordeal. And so for this to be, kind of like a side situation, I'm just trying to figure out how this all tie together and who's giving direction to move forward with this item. That's it. Thank you.
So trustee, I would say, realistically, if you think back to last year in the fourth quarter, when there was information given about different projects and different focuses, and over the summer, last summer when we first started the Reimagine Maywood and the Maywood Municipal Community Campus, the conversation was, what do we need to do for not just a indoor pool, but an actual sports complex? So in January, there was the presentation that showcased 3 slides of doing a feasibility for a sports complex. There was, even in the state of Maywood, there were several slides that talked about the sports complex. There's been several presentations that show a sports complex in it, but the reality is the sports complex starts the conversation, right? It's not directing staff to the sports complex to deal with it so much as it becomes a community conversation of what we'd like to see in an actual sports complex. So the same way that when they did the feasibility study for the federally qualified health center, they had multiple different community meetings. They had multiple different people come in and have conversations. They showcase and highlight different businesses that have built sports complexes, right? So that the feasibility is just what that is. It's putting together the thought process of, as a community, what do we want to see in a sports complex? So is it a full outdoor pool? Is it an outdoor pool? Is it an indoor pool? Is it a half indoor, half outdoor? All of that is what the feasibility study goes through. Are we putting AstroTurf? Are we making sure that we have enough basketball courts to play competitions? All of that goes into that conversation. So the reality that we're looking at for this specific project to be done, one, because the sports facilities is the picked selected partner within the National League of Cities. We pay our dues as a municipality to the National League of Cities annually. So this is the organization that they exclusively work with on sports facilities. So we pay them as our specialist. They select the specialist that they recommend, and this is the specialist that they recommended that we work with. Again, this is just to put together the feasibility study of it. The beauty of also that's different from the sports facility partnership with the National League of Cities, they not only go through the feasibility of the sports complex, but they also help you do the fundraising and navigate the funds that need to get built out to build the facility. So we have to do the feasibility to begin the conversation of the cost of the positioning of where it can go within the 18 acres of the metropolitan complex. But then also it helps us be able to be prepared to apply for OSLOT grant funding. So this feasibility study would go into our OSLOT application to be able to do something within that 18 acres from a park and recreation space of sports complex. So if we say, you know what, we would rather do A or B, those things happen throughout the feasibility study. So it's not that it would be a staff-led thing so much as the company would come and lead those conversations and put together the feasibility study and then do a full report out based on community needs that take place.
Okay, I have a question for Frank. So have you been in contact with this agency, with this group? Have you had any contact or any conversations about this project or this assessment or this?
I have not firsthand. I will say this, that I was involved in my prior job with them not doing a feasibility study and ended up getting the OSLI grant, and they almost lost it because they didn't know what the community wanted. They rushed and put together a recreation center that was multi-use, but it wasn't to its full potential, and they realize that now. So doing this and going with somebody who's recognized by the National League of Cities that you guys are a part of already has a leg up. The community is going to be involved. There's going to be meetings. We're going to listen to the community what they want and have staff report it back to you. You guys are going to ultimately decide. But if you guys are going to ultimately decide with a shot in the dark without having a study, then again, they would shoot themselves in the foot. So I would say that you guys do not want to repeat the past and that a feasibility study is needed.
So Frank, follow-up question first. So you said you haven't been in contact with the company. Who from village staff has been in contact with this agency?
There was Terry that's sitting over there that has been involved on the initial part of it. Again, I will say that I was involved in a place that did not do a feasibility study, applied for OSLOD, received the funding, waited till the last minute and threw something together that turned around and needed to be fixed. This is going to bring the community and get them involved so you guys can make educated decisions on building something for the community.
Yeah, and I concur with you on that as it relates to building something for the community. For me, it's just about the arrival, right? And so how we got here, how it got on the agenda, because I haven't heard not one board conversation or about us moving it in this direction. And so I'm just trying to figure out how.
Trustee, when I was first brought on, I was Park and Rec is my background, also with being the executive director on that. One of the things that Jim, the prior administrator, told me was about the sports complex. So this has been in talk since the prior administrator here. And, this needs to be done so we can apply for these and figure out funding and figure out what the community wants. So I strongly suggest that we take this as serious as we can and have the National League of Cities preferred person that you guys belong to, that the Maywood belongs to, you use this company.
But again, you haven't been in contact with the company. So for me, it just, the channels are just kind of like cross-wired. You haven't been in contact with the company. I know Mayor Booker mentioned that this company through like the National League of Cities is their preferred, so they only deal with one preferred company. And so for me, it was just like the direction piece, coming from the board to have it on the agenda to proceed with. I had heard not one conversation from this board. I don't know if my expectations from the board are how we conduct the business, but I'm just trying to figure out how we got here. It was just my concern. They were spending $35,000 out of ARPA funds to have it done. I don't even recall a conversation or that it was budgeted even with ARPA funds to even have it, because I don't know if you recall, but I was requesting for a long time that we have, or that we get an assessment of what the current condition of that park, we never did, or of the current pool was, we never did receive any actual numbers as it pertains to the current pool. But most certainly, I just haven't heard one conversation from this board about having an assessment done.
Trustee,
on,
Trustee, you did get a assessment on the old pool. You did get it from an engineering firm.
Sorry?
You did get from Jim an assessment on the old pool.
Yeah, on the old pool, there was no
Yes.
numbers. Yeah, no
Yes.
numbers associated with it. I did. Correct. But for me, it was just like, okay, so I read the letter, and I know they had a conversation with Mayor Booker, but my concern is that they have a conversation with somebody on staff, or that represents the village, engineers. They have a conversation with you. You're like, this who else is kind of like vetting these things that's coming through, coming to this table, especially if the board hasn't, even given any direction to yourself or anybody else staff-wise to identify a company, or even to work with the National League of Cities to identify a company to have this assessment done. So that's one of my major pieces. Like, did the board direct you to have them to provide an assessment on building a complex?
So, Trustee, just to give a point of clarity, Terry is our special programs manager or special projects manager, who is paid out of the village manager's budget. So if Terry's working directly with the sports complex facility project to ensure that it's executed, the village manager doesn't have to be a part of that if she literally is his special projects manager under his budget line item. So for the reality is, it's not like I'm leading the project. I don't get paid to lead the project. You have a person that's within the village of Maywood whose office is directly in front of the village managers by the name of Terry Evans. So I would implore upon you to have that conversation with Ms. Evans, but she would be the person working with it. When you say the conversation, they haven't talked to the engineers, they haven't talked, that's all a part of the feasibility study. All of what you just said is a part of the feasibility study. So they're not going to engage and have conversations with multiple different people. There is a proposal to say, what would we like to see in a sports complex? In order for them to go past that conversation, we have to approve a feasibility. So in the thought process of we have to approve a feasibility, then from that standpoint, Ms. Evans would be able to present it to the community, get board input, get engineering input. We have to do soil samples and different things like that. So all of that is a part of the feasibility study that we're trying to vote on to complete. So to put the reality and thought process in perspective, a sports complex can be anywhere between $25 to $40 million, right? The $35,000 is to have the conversations with the board, have conversations with the community, have conversations with specialists, have conversations with our people like our engineering firm. But they can't start those conversations if we don't first do our piece of saying we are voting to say, start the feasibility, make sure that we are part of the process, looking forward to the outcome in the report so that we can move forward with applying for Park and Recreation funds, see it the sports complex now, so that we can look at private donors that are already interested in funding partially parts of the sports complex. But we can't get to that point of saying, hey, we have multiple different former NBA players, NFL players within the village that have come through the village of Maywood that are interested in funding a sports complex, but if we don't have a feasibility study to show them, they don't know what they're funding. Same way as when we're applying for OSLOC grant funding. If we're not giving them what the project would be, we can't apply for it. So we're trying to get to the point to be able to apply for it.
And I appreciate that feedback. And so, again, what I'm saying is that the direction from the board. I've heard the direction from the board to say this is the direction we want to go in. And how did the direction get to, I think you said her name was Miss Terry?
Trustee, you've
So
seen
did that
the sports
direction-
complex
wait,
pictures and presentations
can I-
at least 5 times.
Okay, so we're talking about pictures, I'm talking about conversation and direction.
So to get past the
And so-
picture, you
and
have
so-
to get to the
And
feasibility.
so all I'm asking is, how did the direction come about? Did the board give direction to the village manager, to give direction to Terry, to pursue this company through the National League of Cities, to have this done? I'm just trying to figure out the
So
process and the chain of command.
let's be clear.
That's for the manager.
I can explain to you really simply. I can tell you how it came about.
Okay.
It came about because we go to the National League of Cities Conference 3 times a year. At the National League of Cities Conference, the conversation, there was a topic in regards to park and recreation. This company was a facilitator for it, went to National League of Cities and had the conversation in regards to engage every student. Part of the Engage Every Student initiative through the National League of Cities talks about having sports and recreation facilities and space available for children because that enlightens them and helps them be able to learn and grow. From that standpoint, when I was invited last year that the National League of Cities paid for me to go to the Engage Every Student initiative, we were able to meet and talk and have conversation. From that standpoint, they have continued conversation. We actually brought on Terry back in February, and now we're at the point of it's time to shift gears and go into actually allowing the people that we employ to do special projects to do the special project. And the special project at this point would be to put together the feasibility study. So we're basically saying we're approving to start the feasibility study so that Terry can start her process of making sure community meetings are taking place, making sure that board engagement is done, making sure that engineering is involved, so that we can actually get a feasibility study done to go to the next phase, which would be funding it and actually putting a shovel in the ground.
Mayor.
Yes, Trustee Sanchez.
Call the roll, please.
Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot? Trustee Peppers?
Aye.
Trustee Brandon?
And this is all in play, I'm the bus agenda. I'm gonna go aye, but we gotta improve our process.
Mayor Booker?
We put the cart before the horse.
Aye.
Motion
You know,
carried.
All right.
It's unfortunate.
Motion carried. There's nothing else on the agenda. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn by Trustee Sanchez.
Second.
Second by Trustee Lightfoot. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot? Trustee Peppers?
Aye.
Trustee Brandon?
Aye.
Mayor Booker?
Aye.
Motion carried. The time is 8:47.
Everyone have a good night.
Meeting.